Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Mike D'Ambrosio, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome into Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio, real estate professional and your host. We hope you're enjoying our new podcast format, same great information and education you are accustomed to with the benefit of minimal commercial interruptions. You can download the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or you can go to our website, RERLive.com. That's RERLive.com. You can make sure to get our app, RE Radio Live, in the iTunes store. And you can follow the show in your podcast app, and you can follow it, rate the show. We'd love to get your reviews and feedback. And for all things real estate, don't hesitate to reach out. You can always go to my website, MikeDsells.com. That's MikeDsells.com. You can email me, Mike at RERadiolive.com, or you can always call or text in 408-630-0101. And I'd like to give a huge shout-out to our sponsors, Starburst Construction and Taps Termite. That's starburstconstruction.com or tapstermite.com. So we're going to be talking about key tips to developing real estate today. Laura's in studio today from the D'Ambrosio Real Estate team. How's it going?
Hi, Mike. Good.
Good. So we're going to be talking about, we haven't really discussed this on the show, I don't think really ever.
Which is kind of amazing because we live this every day.
Yeah, it is amazing. And so basically a lot of people may or may not know, if you've checked out the website before, that we actually head up the new Intero Real Estate Development Group. It's the enterodevelopmentgroup.com. So basically what we're doing around Silicon Valley, and hopefully we can expand that out into other parts of the state next, is we basically started a new home sales division called the Intero Development Group. And really what that is focused on helping developers list, market, and sell their development projects when they are ready to be sold. So after construction or close to the end of construction, we are going in and trying to list those properties for sale just as a normal real estate sale, but just on a bigger scale, essentially. What that's really steamrolled into, and it's something that I've been working on the past few years, is helping clients that have development type properties get them to development stages. So what is that called? That's called what we, in this segment of the biz, called getting entitlements for getting a development.
Yeah, it's not being entitled. But it's called getting entitlements.
Getting entitlements. So,
don't get that mixed up with millennials.
Yeah, exactly. You damn entitled millennials. You can always reach out if you disagree with that. But so anyways, we are helping. What I really wanted to focus on today is just kind of talk about what's going on in the Bay Area. Again, we have listeners all around the world, all around the country. And so, but really what's happening in the Silicon Valley is that it's all redevelopment, because there's nowhere else in this area, unless you go to South County, of huge plots of land left. So you're not seeing these giant new home subdivisions being built like they used to in the past, or new subdivisions being built, like there is. Even if you go out in the Central Valley, like Manteca, Tracy, there's huge subdivisions being built there of hundreds of homes. That's just not going to happen around here.
Well, and Mike, what they're saying, too, is the highest and best use of your property, right?
Yeah.
So what you're seeing a lot of are people that are sitting on a big, big plot of land, and their home is dilapidated or just not even worth, putting the money in to redo it. And they're thinking about, selling it or putting multiple homes on it and then making the profit and then go buy the house that you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it is the highest and best use, and it's what the cities want as well, because they're going to get more taxes out of it. If you have one old crappy home on a lot that has a tax basis from 40 years ago versus 5 new homes at $1 million, the county's making a lot more in tax dollars. So
Mike, how long would it kind of take to do something like that, since we're on the topic?
Yeah, that's a really loaded question, because it depends on the municipality. It depends on the city, how good they are. Is the property in the general plan, or is the zoning right for what you want to do? But, on average, I would say if you had like a piece of property, with a house on it, and you wanted to get multiple units on it, and the zoning was right, and you had the right architect that listened to the city comments, and you're talking about like, at least a half year to a year. A half year is really, that's like pushing it. Yeah. I would say a year. But then if you're talking like a major project, like 50 units and stuff, then we're talking it could be longer, So that's a really loaded question. I'm sure some people will call me out on that, but really I would say on average like 8 to 12 months just to get to the entitlement phase. Then you got to go through getting permits, construction permits, getting the financing and all that stuff.
Well, they can call you out on it, but you've also been there. So, it's kind of like that's what you lived.
So basically, a lot of people out there listening that listen in the area, like Laura said before, if you have an old rundown home on a big lot, maybe the zoning is right. Maybe you have a zoning of multiple units that you can get the property, rezoned into multiple parcels, or maybe you have to go for a general plan amendment because some areas have a general plan for a certain, area of town, and maybe your area is not in the general plan for that, and then so sometimes you have to go, that's a whole nother layer of the process.
Or maybe it is, and they'll push it through quicker, huh?
You never know. And then you also have to know people at the city. You have to agree, not agree, you have to play along with the politics.
Well, how's about
this?
You
kind of got to kiss some butt, basically, and so does your architect, and so does your team of people. So it's really it's a whole team effort.
So stepping back, if somebody thought that they had an opportunity to do something like this is why it's crucial to know somebody like you who would be the perfect person to talk about it, map it out, and show them options, right? So instead of feeling completely overwhelmed, give you a call. Yeah,
give me a call. We talk about the zone. I'd go over there, look at it, see what you have, look at the zoning, maybe go to the city together, talk to them about the zoning, what's allowed to be built there, what could be built there, what is the general plan for the area, and then we can talk numbers. So then maybe we can talk rough numbers before you even get into hiring an architect and all that stuff. We could talk about, okay, if you have a house and it is possible for you to build 5 houses there, what's it going to cost to build them? What's it going to cost to sell them, basically?
Mike, do you charge for doing something like that?
No, there's no charge. And so really, it's as simple as that. Then if you figure out the numbers might possibly work, then you might want to get an architect involved, someone that knows the city municipalities and knows the codes and knows what the general plan is, and starts working up some drawings. I'm talking like a really rough plan because sometimes people, it's not cheap to build 5 homes. You're talking about multi-million-dollar construction loan typically. So if you're building 5 homes, it's not a cheap endeavor. So not everyone always has the money to do that. So maybe you have to bring in partners or an investor, or maybe you put the money up to go through the entitlement process and get the property entitled to build those homes, and then you just sell the land with the plans, because that's only going to basically double the value of what your property, not double it, there's a calculation to it, but it's going to increase the value of your property immensely if you have the entitlements to build something new on the property.
So if I have this property with a dilapidated house and I don't have the funds to put up front, like the millions that you're talking about, do you have the opportunity to bring people in to help me out?
Yeah, there are people, and you basically would put, you could, there's all sorts of different types of deals you could work out with somebody, but if you wanted to stay involved, you could always put your land up as a portion of the deal, and then you'll have to work out some sort of a deal with the developer as to what happens near the end.
Yeah, I guess there's obviously a lot of creative ways, right?
There is. They're going to get more upside because they're putting more money into it than you are.
But guess
typically,
what? But if you didn't have that opportunity, then guess what? You'd have to put money into your dilapidated house, and then you wouldn't have the opportunity.
Which is probably not worth it, right? It's an interesting process, and it's something that if you're out there with a big piece of land, you need to start looking into, especially now because we have such a lack of inventory as far as resold homes.
So, Mike, what's a big piece of land?
I would say...
Like one house sitting on what?
One house sitting on a third of an acre or more, and a third of an acre is over 43,000 square feet. So you do the math, basically. Typically, you probably could get a couple units on that, or it just depends. And if you live in a high-end area and you have a crappy house on a big lot, if you have a crappy house in Los Altos on a 10,000 square foot lot, we're talking about a different type of redevelopment. We're talking about building like a McMansion on that for a high-end home. So we're talking about one home as opposed to a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath on a huge lot. So,
and that might be quicker, right?
It depends.
Okay.
Not necessarily, but it depends. So on the next segment, we're still going to talk about development, but basically if you want to get into development, how do you get started into property development outside of just a small project that you might own yourself? How do you get involved in development going forward more as a career potentially? So we're going to get into that on the other side of the break. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio. This is Real Estate Radio Live. We'll be right back.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Do you know Mike D'Ambrosio, reputable real estate professional in the Silicon Valley? He was born and raised here in Silicon Valley. He's very excited to be working in a geographic area that he loves and knows well. He firmly believes that this is the best place to live in the entire country. He specializes in Bay Area real estate. Are your family's needs changing? Are your parents in need of changing living conditions? Are your children first-time home buyers? Do you just want to expand your income revenue stream through real estate investments? He would be happy to meet with you and discuss your options while explaining the advantages of using his team to expand your opportunities of owning real estate in the Bay Area. He's dedicated to providing you quality, honesty, and creativity in every real estate transaction. He's highly recommended by many for his attention to his clients' needs and by making sure that your experience is as enjoyable and as painless as possible. Real estate transactions are not small tasks, and that's why they should be done efficiently, smartly, and as thoroughly as possible. That's his promise to you. Whether you're buying or selling, let him put his expertise and experience to work for you and make your transaction a smooth and enjoyable one. The time is now. Don't let another opportunity slip by. Call him directly at 408-630-0101. Email Mike at MikeDsells.com or visit his website, MikeDsells.com. Cal BRE number 0184192. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back in. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. And beside me is Laura Pesavento with the D'Ambrosio Real Estate team.
Hey, hey.
And I got to take my mint out of my mouth because I can't talk. So basically we're talking about key tips to developing real estate.
You can't talk without the mint in your mouth. I can't talk
at all. Key tips to developing real estate, and again, a lot of people sitting around the Silicon Valley right now might not even know they might be sitting on a little gold mine. And I
think, aren't we all sitting on a little gold mine?
Well, yeah, but a lot of people around here. I mean, again, we have such a lack of inventory. We have a lack of land to build. So really what the future of Silicon Valley is going to be is what we call infill development. And that's going to be, old houses on big lots getting redeveloped into higher density. It's going to be old rundown shopping centers on huge lots with huge parking lots getting torn down. And
having mixed use stuff?
Yeah, mixed use. Like the prime example of all this, and in fact, it's an example that's used around the country, is Santana Row. And when you look at Santana Row, that's what you call an urban village. And, what was there before was an old town and country, which was not the highest and best use because it was a single level.
You had to go there?
Single shops.
For the old people in this valley?
Yeah.
We love town and country.
It was good, but think about how big...
It was so rickety.
Think about how big it was. Rickety is a perfect word.
Oh, God.
But think about how big of a lot that was.
It was huge.
And it had a one-story building on the whole thing,
and
it
wasn't even all used.
So now look at what it is. It's hundreds of units of living You have some of the best shopping in the world,
Okay.
restaurants, all of that stuff. So it's really, this is the future. We have urban village plans all around the county. That's where it's going to be going, And I mean, I think anyone listening right now, the biggest concern that you're gonna have is how's the traffic going to be, even with all this new planning of rail, light rail, and all public transportation.
Sure.
The traffic's just going to get worse as we start to infill a lot of these older, rundown properties on big lots. It's just going to be inevitable. But we need the housing because
all these jobs coming.
we have all the jobs,
especially
downtown San Jose, which is why you see a lot of different types of projects. The densities that they're allowing in downtown San Jose right now is crazy. The amount of units that they're allowing on the small lots, because you're talking about multiple story development projects. So anyways, I wanted to talk about that, and really we're doing the Intero Development Group for Intero Real Estate Services. We're having a great time working with a lot of different developers, looking at these types of projects. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do I even get started into development? I would say the first step would be, educate yourself. Obviously, listening to Real Estate Radio Live on Mondays.
That's a start.
Talking about developing. I mean, that's important. There's a lot of really good books out there that you can just Amazon or Google good development books, and you can find what those are. I actually have a really good one I just read recently. If you want to reach out, I'll send you the title, and we'll get that to you. The other thing is talking to developers. I mean, you're only going to learn more as you talk to different people that are involved in development. If you talk to people that have never developed something before, you're probably not going to learn that. You're not going to learn that much. So I would say talking to developers that you know or that you can get introduced to, they're only going to have words of wisdom or different things to tell you. And so that's really important. The other thing is find out where you want to build. Once you've gained a little bit of knowledge as to what you want to do, what type of development you want to do, figure out where the heck you want to do it. Do you want to go out and build big single-family developments? Do you want to build high towers? Do you want to build mixed use? I mean, based on that it's going to determine where you go out and seek to build, basically.
So, Mike, where's the I don't want to say the best place to build right now, but where's the most affordable place to do these type of projects now?
Yeah, I mean, again, another loaded question from Laura, but it's I would say as far as
job,
I
right?
know, it's
I gotta
good.
Keep you on your toes.
It's a good question, but I would say as far as we're seeing a lot of building going on out in Central Valley. I mentioned it before, Manteca, Tracy. Big developments going on out there.
So is Morgan Hill played out yet?
The cost of construction out in Central Valley is less expensive. I wouldn't say Morgan Hill's played out. I would say that the city is being tougher I would say that the people of Morgan Hill are really cracking down on developments because they don't want to see their little town feel get ruined, which it kind of has. So yeah, it's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of development going on in Gilroy and Hollister and South County, those places. So I would say the next tip is to really become familiar with the cities and the city's rules and their general plans and their zoning regulations and all of that stuff. Become familiar with all of that and make sure you grab a cup of coffee because when you download all those documents, I mean, it's a lot.
What are you trying to say? Are you going to be waiting in a long line?
You're going to be reading a lot of pages that might otherwise put you to sleep. I mean, reading zoning regulations is not sexy by any means.
Come on, I always have a zoning regulation book next to me.
That's right. So, it's important, though, to get to know your municipalities that you might be working in. And then the other tip I have would be, a couple more, would be finance. So, obviously, the key to all this is the money part of it, and how are you going to finance something like this? Are you going to bring in partners? Are you going to get construction financing?
But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you ask that question first, or would you just kind of go see somebody like you and then have that stuff work itself out? Because there's lots of people, right, as we know, that are willing to listen to these projects.
I mean, I would say financing is one of the ones to do up front. Talk about that. I mean, if you don't have any money and you don't know anyone with any money, you don't know any developers, development might not be something you need to get into. But you should have the financing conversation in the beginning as you start to do your due diligence and research and educating yourself and reading books and meeting people. The financing part is in the beginning, definitely, and you should figure out how you're going to finance something like this. Are you going to bring a partner in? It just depends on, who you're talking to, basically.
Okay.
Let's see what else. You might want to educate yourself on taxes and what the implications mean to your financial well-being and your balance sheet, and talking to your CPA about what are the tax implications if I own a piece of property that is a rundown house on a big lot and I'm paying X in taxes. If I sell it, how much am I paying in taxes? If I build 5 houses and sell those, what do the taxes look like? I mean, those are all good questions to really figure out with your tax advisor and figure out what the heck you're going to do about that, because you don't want to not pay your taxes, because then you'll be in big trouble. And I would say one of my final piece of advice is, and I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know everything about development, and frankly, anybody that does is full of crap, because you learn something new every day, and you learn something new in real estate and development all the time. And so learn something new every day and don't give up. I think developing is it's not an easy process. It's not a quick process.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart, right?
We teach a class at our it's called Previsio. It's our training program at Intero, and I teach the development class. And one of the first things I tell our students is, if you're in here for a quick buck, you might as well just go home right now. Just leave the class, because working in development is not a quick dollar. And these are years. Some of these projects take years to come to fruition. And so don't give up. Don't go after the quick buck. But the thing about it is, with development, is it is bigger deals. It's more money. It has more upside. It has more downside if the market shifts too. I mean, there's risks involved with it too. So it just really depends on how you look at it. But
it could be really lucrative.
It could be really lucrative, and just don't give up and learn something new every day. And I think that's about it. So do you know more about development now after today? Well, you already know, because you're around me all the time.
Yeah, but it's always good to refresh.
Yeah, good. Well, thanks for tuning in to Real Estate Radio Live. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio. For all things real estate, you can always go to my website, MikeDsells.com. And there'll be a link there for the Intero Development Group as well. You can always email me, Mike at RERadiolive.com, or text or call in, 408-630-0101. Thanks, Laura, for coming on.
Thank you.
And thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great week. Take care.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.